Good morning, everyone. When you read the Bible, do you believe that everything in the Bible is real? Those who are strong believers will quickly say yes, and those who do not believe quickly dismiss the accuracy of the Bible. Unfortunately, both groups respond too quickly and come to their conclusions without enough reasons. I want to surprise you a little this morning and point out that Jesus sometimes told stories that were not real. However, in so doing, he hopes to challenge us to make those stories real in our lives. Today's gospel is a perfect example of this. Jesus makes up a story to teach a very important lesson about mercy and compassion. Those listening to Jesus would have been very surprised at this story. They would have understood the point that those who claim to believe strongly in God very often turn a blind eye to the needs of others. Although the story is not real because Jesus is not referring to an actual man who was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, this story is actually very real because all the people in the story represent us in different ways. The man going down from Jerusalem to Jericho was simply moving from one place to another. He was an innocent victim of life. Thieves stole everything he had, even his clothes. Then they also hurt him so badly that he almost died. Is this real? Unfortunately, this is too real. Although most of us have never been robbed or beaten, at a deeper level, we have all given and taken a beating. Through the many things that either people do to us, things we do to ourselves, or what we have done to others. Unfortunately, getting beaten up every once in a while is too real for all of us. We sometimes rob ourselves of opportunities because we are too lazy or we lose hope. We can easily recover if our wallet is stolen. But when we lose our joy and our excitement for all that God has given us in our life, we rob not only ourselves, but we're also robbing everyone else around us of the gifts that we have to share with them. Therefore, this story is very real because every day we can allow others to beat and rob us through their negative words or judgments, or unfortunately we can do the same to others. Have we been beaten up on the road of life? If so, then this story is very real. This story is also real because those whom we expect to help us are not always there for us. In today's parable, a priest and a Levite saw the dying man, and both of them passed by on the other side. What is also shocking here is that both were very respected religious leaders. They were coming from Jerusalem, which means that both were at the temple praying and performing religious rituals and duties. However, despite their long hours in the temple praying to God, their prayers did not help them make either their lives or the lives of those around them any better. We would have expected either of these religious men to stop. But what happened? Both turned a blind eye. Is this real? Is it possible for us who pray and believe in God to ignore the needs of others? Another surprising aspect of this story is that a Samaritan stopped. At that time, and even today, there is a great hatred between Jews and Samaritans. They do not pray with each other, and in fact, they do not even pray for each other. So this story was shocking to the Jews who were listening to Jesus for two reasons. Those who were religious figures did not care enough to stop, and the Samaritan, who was considered a bad person and an outsider, ended up stopping to help. The Samaritan not only helped by taking the man to an inn, he also had so much compassion on him that he promised to help him even more on the way back. Is this real? Are there really people like that in the world? Is it possible to make this real in our life? That is the real question. This gospel and everything else Jesus says is only as real as we make it today. We sometimes should help, but don't. And sometimes we experience the great generosity of people that we would have never expected to help us. A few years ago, I was cycling down the Santa Ana River Trail. And as you know what it was like a few years ago, I did not know, being new to this area, that people lived underneath all the bridges and all the overpasses. So I said hello to some, but the thought of getting mugged was also on my mind as a possibility, and I became very cautious and careful. And as I was riding, my phone rang. So I stopped below a bridge that did not look like anyone was living under. I parked my bike. I lied down on the ground because I was a little tired to get some rest, and I began to talk on the phone. A few seconds later, someone popped out from underneath the bridge. And he said, "Hey man, are you okay?" I said, "Yes, I'm just talking on the phone." A few seconds later, he said, "Are you sure you're okay?" He says, "Do you need any help?" I said, "No, I'm okay, I'm fine." And then he popped out a third time and asked, "Are you hungry? Do you need any food?" I thanked him and I assured him that I was fine and that I did not need any food. As I was passing by all these homeless people, I did not stop to ask whether they are okay, and I never stopped to see if any of them were hungry. However, when I stopped, someone asked me if I was okay and whether I needed something to eat. That taught me a very important lesson. Our expectations are often reversed. As I was riding by, I was afraid of all of them. But when I stopped, an anonymous homeless man showed compassion towards me. Is this real? Can we learn from this homeless man and this gospel and make compassion real in very practical ways in our lives? The story that Jesus told 2,000 years ago proves to be real when we accept that our position in life, whatever it is fully and totally useless if we do not use who we are and what we have to help others. We will not be able to solve poverty or solve everyone's problems, but our love and compassion can give us the wisdom to do the right thing when we encounter someone in need. I want to thank all those who donate food items to our church's food bank. And sometimes people call us or drop by, and we are always able to offer some food and some things for them. And also in our church, every month we prepare food at the church and serve it at Isaiah House Women's Shelter. So I want to thank also all those who help and all those who prepare. And all the families can also help with that if they have a free Saturday or Sunday. This is our very little way of showing compassion. This is our little way of showing that the gospel of the merciful Samaritan and our faith are real. However, compassion is not only in what we give, but also in how we treat others. Most people do not need food or money, but everyone needs our time, our patience, and our compassion. Everyone needs to be heard. Everyone needs to forgive and needs to be forgiven. Everyone needs our patience, and everyone needs our friendship. Today's gospel is only real if we decide right now to make it real in specific ways and to be like the Samaritan who stopped and noticed the needs of someone around him. For those listening to Jesus, it was a big surprise that the Samaritan stopped. And surprises are good because they make our life real. Let us surprise others by being good to someone. Let us surprise ourselves by finding out how the gifts that God has given us can be better used. Let us surprise ourselves by making this story as real as possible, because the Bible is not real if what we hear today does not help us to make something different in someone's life. So, is this gospel real? All of us will be able to answer on our own behalf based on how real we make it.